Fractions are usually less than one whole. These are called proper fractions. The numerator is smaller than the denominator. For example, 2/8 of a pizza or half of a sandwich. But fractions can be bigger than one whole. For example, here we have 3/2 of an orange. 1/2, 2/2, 3/2. You can see that 3/2 is larger than one whole because we have one whole orange and an extra half. 3/2 is an improper fraction. Improper fractions have a numerator larger than their denominator. An improper fraction can also be expressed as a mixed number. It's called a mixed number because it's a mix of a whole number and a fraction. How many wholes do we have? 1. How many extra halves do we have? 1. 1 whole and 1/2. The mixed number is 1.5. 1.5 is the same as 3/2. Let's take a look at another example. What fraction have these pizzas been cut into? That's right, quarters. Let's count how many quarters we have. 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters, 5 quarters, 6 quarters, 7 quarters, 8 quarters, 9 quarters. We have 9 quarters. This is an improper fraction because the numerator is larger than the denominator. Let's think about how we could write this as a mixed number. How many wholes are there? 2. How many extra quarters are there left? 1. The mixed number is 2 1/4. 2 1/4 is the same as 9 quarters. Here's another improper fraction. Let's convert this improper fraction to a mixed number. We are working with eighths. Our fraction has 10 of them. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. 8/8 is 1 whole. 9/8, 10/8. There is 1 whole and 2/8. The mixed number is 1 2/8. Here we have a mixed number. It's telling us that we have 3 whole and 2/3. How can we express this as an improper fraction? Easy. We count how many thirds we have all together. We know that each whole has 3/3. So in total, we have 11 thirds. 11 thirds is the same as 3 2/3. Converting between improper fractions and mixed numbers is easy.
Numbers come in all shapes and sizes. Some are big and some are little. Some are whole, and others are a bit fractured. As far as fractions go, it's a mixed bag. Some fractions are proper, some are improper, and then there are those that are just a little mixed up.
Who am I?
Proper fractions have a numerator that's smaller than the denominator, which means they're always less than 1. Proper fractions also donate to charities and volunteer in soup kitchens. They know they're not greater than anyone else around them. Improper fractions, on the other hand, are a little full of themselves. They've got big heads, well, big numerators anyway. In improper fractions, the numerator is bigger than the denominator, which means they're greater than 1.
I've won one.
Since fractions aren't supposed to be greater than 1, we call these guys improper. They're a bit on the rude side.
Well, I never.
But if they get on our nerves, we can change them into mixed numbers. Mixed numbers are combinations of whole numbers and fractions, so they may be a bit confused at times. Maybe they're going through an identity crisis or something, we don't really know.
Am I a whole number?
Or am I a fraction?
We can change improper fractions into mixed numbers by dividing the numerator by the denominator. That's what fractions are, right? Division. We'll end up with a number and a remainder. The number is the whole number in front, and the remainder goes in the numerator of the fraction that follows it. If we're sick of being mixed up by mixed numbers, We can change them back into improper fractions too. Since we divided to change them, let's multiply to change them back. First, we multiply the denominator by the whole number. Once we find that product, we add it to the numerator of our mixed numbers fraction. Then we put that number all over the original denominator.
I am the original denominator.
To get our improper fraction. So in the end, mixed numbers and improper fractions can express the same number in two different ways. It's up to you to decide which is better, improper or mixed.
Who am I?
So I'm going to be modeling mixed numbers and improper fractions. So in other words, we're going to be visualizing or seeing what mixed numbers and improper fractions look like. And we have two examples on your screen that we're going to go through together in order to get this down. So let's jump right into number 1 here, where we have 5/3. So that's an improper fraction. Our numerator, or top number, is greater than our denominator, or bottom number. So that improper fraction has a value greater than 1 whole. Any improper fraction does. So let's model 5/3. And we're going to use the rectangles down here in order to do so. So I have 2 whole rectangles cut into thirds. So we need to fill in 5/3. So this would be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So 3/3 is 3 out of 3, so that gives us 1 whole rectangle, 4/3, and 5/3. So that model matches our improper fraction of 5/3. Now let's put it into a mixed number. Now we do not need to do a separate model for the mixed number. The mixed number is equivalent to that improper fraction. So we see that we have 1 whole rectangle filled in. So that's our whole number of the mixed number. Then we have 1/3, 2/3. So we don't quite have another whole rectangle, but we have a fraction. So 1 and 2/3. And remember, a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction. So 1 and 2/3. Now 5/3 is equivalent to 1 and 2/3. They hold the same value. One's an improper fraction and one's a mixed number. Now you do not need to draw a model out in order to go from an improper fraction to a mixed number. I have another video that shows how to do that. I dropped that down in the description. This video, again, is about modeling mixed numbers and improper fractions. So let's move to number 2, where we have 11/4. So I have some whole circles down below cut into fourths. So we need to fill in 11/4. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So we have 4 out of 4, which is equal to 1 whole. 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4, which is equivalent to 2 wholes, 9/4, 10/4, and 11/4. So that model represents 11/4. Now we need the mixed number. So we have 2 whole circles filled in, so that's going to be our whole number for our mixed number. And then we have 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4 as our fractional part. So 2 and 3/4 is our mixed number. And again, that improper fraction, 11/4, is equivalent to 2 and 3/4. So our model below represents both the improper fraction and mixed number. They are equivalent. One's just an improper fraction and one's a mixed number. So there you have it. There's how you model mixed numbers and improper fractions.
So that we can learn all together how to add fractions with the same denominator. Do you remember what a fraction is? A fraction is a number which indicates the division of a whole number in equal parts. First, let's remember which are the parts of a fraction. This is the numerator, and this number is the denominator. Today we're going to take one step further. We'll learn how to add fractions. To add fractions with the same denominator, we leave the common denominator and add the numerators. It's very simple. Let's see an example. To add 2/8 plus 3/8, we leave the common denominator In this case, it's number 8. And we add the numerators, that is 2 plus 3, which equals 5. This result, number 5, will be the numerator. The result is 5 over 8. Are you up for a challenge to practice a bit more? In the Smile and Learn universe, there's a planet called Smileython. This planet is divided into 8 equal parts. 2/8 of the planet are occupied by friendly aliens, and the remaining 3/8 by grumpy aliens. What fraction would represent the overall number of land occupied by all the aliens on the planet? To find out, we'll need to add the fractions 2 over 8 plus 3 over 8. Do you remember how to do this math operation? Remember that the result would have to be the same denominator. In this case, it would be the number 8. And now, to calculate the numerator, we'll add the numerators 2 and 3, which equals 5. The result will be that 5/8 of the land are occupied by aliens. Will you help me figure out something else? Learnython, our neighboring planet, is divided into 5 equal parts. There is yellow water on 1/5 of the planet, purple water on 3/5 of the planet, and volcanic soil on 1/5 of the planet. How much of the land on planet Learnython is covered with water? To find out, we'll need to add the fractions 1 over 5 plus 3 over 5. First, in the result, we'll leave the common denominator, and then we'll add the numerators 1 plus 3, which equals 4. The result will be that 4/5 of the land of the planet are covered with water. Thank you for helping me! Now you know how to add fractions with the same denominator. Little by little, you're going to become math experts. Keep up the good work.
Add the fractions. In this shape, one of the 3 equal parts are shaded. 1/3 of the shape is shaded. In this shape, one of the 3 equal parts are shaded. 1/3 of this shape is shaded. Let's add the fractions. Both of the denominators are 3. These are like fractions. To add like fractions, we keep the denominator the same and add the numerators. 1 plus 1 equals 2. So 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. Add the fractions. In this shape, 4 of the 8 equal parts are shaded. 4/8 are shaded. In this shape, 3 of the 8 equal parts are shaded. Let's add the fractions. Both of the denominators are 8. These are like fractions. To add like fractions, we keep the denominator the same and add the numerators. 4 plus 3 equals 7. 4/8 plus 3/8 equals 7/8. Add the fractions. In this shape, there are 9 equal parts and 4 parts are shaded. 4/9 are shaded. In this shape, there are also 9 equal parts with 4 parts shaded. 4/9 are shaded. Let's add the fractions. The denominators of both fractions are the same. They are like fractions. To add like fractions, we keep the denominator the same and add the numerators. 4 plus 4 equals 8. 4 ninths plus 4 ninths equals 8 ninths. Add the fractions. Let's find 4 twelfths plus 2 twelfths. The denominators of these fractions are the same. They are like fractions. To add like fractions, we keep the denominator the same and we add the numerators. 4 plus 2 equals 6. So 4 twelfths plus 2 twelfths equals 6 twelfths. Add the fractions. Let's find 4 sevenths plus 2 sevenths. The denominators are the same, so we add the numerators. 4 plus 2 equals 6. 4 sevenths plus 2 sevenths equals 6 sevenths.
Palooza and learn all about fractions. Adding and subtracting fractions that have the same denominator is easy. Here we have 3/8 plus 1/8. You can see that the denominators are the same, so we will have 8 as our denominator. Now we just add the numerators. 3 plus 1 equals 4. 4 over 8 can further reduce. 4 goes into 8 2 times, and 4 goes into itself 1 time. So our answer is 1/2. If we go back to our original problem and change the plus sign to a negative sign, the process is still the same. The denominator is still 8. For the numerator, 3 minus 1 equals 2. 2/8 can further reduce. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into itself 1 time. So 1/4 is our answer. Now let's see what happens when the denominators are different. Here we have 1/4 plus 1/7. We cannot add the numerators because the denominators are different. However, there's a little math trick that makes it easy. Abracadabra. First, we will multiply 4 times 7 equals 28. So 28 is our denominator. Next, we will cross multiply. 1 times 7 equals 7. 1 times 4 equals 4. Add 7 plus 4 and we get 11 for the numerator. Our answer is 11 over 28. Let's try another one. 2 over 3 plus 1 over 4. 3 times 4 equals 12 for the denominator. 2 times 4 equals 8. 1 times 3 equals 3. 8 plus 3 equals 11. So we have 11 over 12. Now let's try a subtraction problem. Here we have 3 over 4 minus 1 over 3. 4 times 3 equals 12. 3 times 3 equals 9. And 1 times 4 equals 4. Remember, this is a subtraction problem. So 9 minus 4 equals 5. Our final answer is 5 over 12. See how easy it is? Let's try one last problem. 3 over 5 plus 1 over 3. 5 times 3 equals 15, and that's our denominator. 3 times 3 equals 9. 1 times 5 equals 5. 9 plus 5 equals 14. So our answer is 14 over 15.
Adding and subtracting fractions is easy.
Add the fractions. Write the answer in its simplest form. We need to add 1/6 and 1/12. The denominators of these fractions are not the same. They are unlike fractions. In order to add the fractions, we need to make the denominators the same. Let's find an equivalent fraction of 1/6 where the denominator is equal to 12. One-sixth is equal to 2/12. 2/12 is an equivalent fraction of 1/6. So we can rewrite the equation 1/6 plus 1/12 is equal to 2/12 plus 1/12. The denominators are now the same, so we can add the fractions by adding the numerators. 2 plus 1 equals 3, so 2/12 plus 1/12 equals 3/12. We can simplify 3/12 by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 3 to give 1/4. So 1/6 plus 1/12 is equal to 1/4. Add the fractions. Write the answer as a mixed number. We need to add 11/15 and 2/5. The denominators of these fractions are not the same. They are unlike fractions. In order to add the fractions, we need to make their denominators the same. Let's find an equivalent fraction of 2/5 where the denominator is 15. Two-fifths is equal to 6/15. 6/15 is an equivalent fraction of 2/5. We can now rewrite the equation as 11/15 plus 6/15. The denominators are the same, so we can add the numerators. 11 plus 6 equals 17. 11/15 plus 6/15 equals 17/15. We can rewrite the improper fraction 17/15 as the mixed number 1 and 2/15. So 11/15 plus 2/5 is equal to 1 and 2/15. Add the fractions. Write the answer as a mixed number. We need to add 3/4 and 7/16. Let's find an equivalent fraction of 3/4 where the denominator is 16. 3/4 is equal to 12/16. So we can rewrite the equation as 12/16 plus 7/16. The denominators are now the same, so we add the numerators. 12 plus 7 equals 19. So 12/16 plus 7/16 equals 19/16. we can rewrite this as the mixed number 1 and 3/16. So 3/4 plus 7/16 equals 1 and 3/16.
Hello again, math friends! We're going to continue learning about fractions. Today, we're going to learn how to subtract fractions with the same denominator. Do you remember what a fraction is? A fraction is a number which indicates the division of a whole number in equal parts. First, let's remember which are the parts of a fraction. This is the numerator, and this number is the denominator. To subtract fractions with the same denominator, we leave the common denominator and only subtract the numerators. It's very simple. Let's see an example. We need to solve this math problem. 5/9 minus 2/9. The denominator stays the same. In this case, it's the number 9. Now we subtract the numerators. That is 5 minus 2, which equals 3, which will be the numerator in the answer. The result of this math problem will be 3/9. Are you up for a challenge to practice a bit more? In the Smile and Learn universe, there's a planet called Smiley-thon. The planet is divided into 8 equal parts. In 6 of these 8 fields, they grow apple trees and lemon trees. If 4 of the 8 fields are planted with lemon trees, how many fields are planted with apple trees? To find out, we'll have to subtract fractions. We need to subtract the total number of fields planted with fruit trees from the number of fields planted with lemon trees to find out how many apple tree fields there are, meaning 6/8 minus 4/8. Do you remember how to do this math operation? Remember that we should put the same denominator in our answer. In this case, number 8. Now to calculate the numerator, we subtract the numerator 6 minus 4, which equals 2. The result is that 2 of the 8 fields are planted with apple trees. That is 2/8. Will you help me figure out something else? Planet LearnTurn is divided into 5 equal parts. On this planet, there are wooded areas and areas with houses. If they built houses on 3 of LearnTurn's fields, how many parts of the planet are covered with woods? To find the solution, we'll need to subtract the fractions. 5/5 minus 3/5. To work out the answer, first we leave the same denominator. In this case, it's number 5. And then we subtract the numerators. In this case, 5 minus 3, which equals 2. The result is that 2 parts of LearnTurn planet are covered with woods. That is to say, 2/5. Congratulations! Now you know how to subtract fractions with the same denominator. See you around!
Subtract the fractions. Let's find 9/10 minus 2/10. The denominators of these fractions are the same. They are both 10. These fractions are like fractions. To subtract like fractions, we keep the denominator the same and subtract the numerators. 9 minus 2 equals 7. So 9/10 minus 2/10 equals 7/10. Let's find 2/3 minus 1/6. The denominators of these fractions are not the same. To subtract the fractions, we must first make the denominators the same. If we multiply the numerator and the denominator of 2/3 by 2, we get 4/6. 2/3 and 4/6 are equivalent fractions. So we can rewrite 2/3 minus 1/6 as 4/6 minus 1/6. The denominators are now the same. The fractions are like fractions. Let's subtract the numerators. 4 minus 1 equals 3. 4/6 minus 1/6 equals 3/6. So 2/3 minus 1/6 equals 3/6. Let's find 11/12 minus 3/4. The denominators of these fractions are not the same. To subtract the fractions, we must first make the denominators the same. If we multiply the numerator and the denominator of 3/4 by 3, we get 9/12. 3/4 and 9/12 are equivalent fractions. So we can rewrite 11/12 minus 3/4 as 11/12 minus 9/12. The denominators are now the same. The fractions are like fractions. Let's subtract the numerators. 11 minus 9 equals 2. 11/12 minus 9/12 equals 2/12. So 11/12 minus 3/4 equals 2/12. Subtract the fractions. This triangle is divided into 3 equal parts. 2 parts are shaded. 2/3 of the triangle are shaded. This triangle is also divided into 3 equal parts. 1 part is shaded. 1/3 of the triangle is shaded. The fractions have the same denominator. They are like fractions. To subtract like fractions, we subtract the numerators and leave the denominator the same. 2 minus 1 equals 1. So 2/3 minus 1/3 is equal to 1/3. Subtract the fractions. This shape is divided into 6 equal parts. 5 parts are shaded. 5/6 of the shape are shaded. This shape is also divided into 6 equal parts. 3 of the parts are shaded. 3/6 of the shape are shaded. The fractions are like fractions. So to subtract, we subtract the numerators and keep the denominator the same. 5 minus 3 equals 2. So 5/6 minus 3/6 equals 2/6. Subtract the fractions. Let's find 6/7 minus 4/7. Both of the denominators are the same. The fractions are like fractions. To subtract like fractions, we subtract the numerators and leave the denominator the same. 6 minus 4 equals 2. 6/7 minus 4/7 equals 2/7. Subtract the fractions. Let's find 8/11 minus 5/11. The denominators are the same. The fractions are like fractions. So let's subtract the numerators. 8 minus 5 equals 3. 8/11 minus 5/11 equals 3/11. 5/9 minus 1/3. The denominators of these fractions are different. They are unlike fractions. Let's find an equivalent fraction of 1/3 where the denominator is 9. We can do this by multiplying the numerator and the denominator of 1/3 by 3 to get 3/9. 3/9 is an equivalent fraction of 1/3. We can rewrite the subtraction equation as 5/9 minus 3/9. The denominators are now the same, so we subtract the numerators. 5 minus 3 equals 2, so 5/9 minus 3/9 equals 2/9. Subtract. Find 1/2 minus 3/10. The denominators of these fractions are not the same. They are unlike fractions. Let's find an equivalent fraction of 1/2 where the denominator is 10. 1/2 is equal to 5/10. We can rewrite 1/2 minus 3/10 as 5/10 minus 3/10. The fractions are now like fractions, so we can subtract the numerators. 5 minus 3 equals 2, so 5/10 minus 3/10 equals 2/10. We can simplify 2/10 by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 2 to give 1/5. So 1/2 minus 3/10 equals 1/5. Subtract. Find 7/24 minus 1/6. The denominators of these fractions are not the same. They are unlike fractions. Let's find an equivalent fraction of 1/6 where the denominator is 24. 1/6 is equal to 4/24. So 7/24 minus 1/6 is equal to 7/24 minus 4/24. The fractions are now like fractions. We can subtract the numerators. 7 minus 4 equals 3. So 7/24 minus 4/24 equals 3/24. We can simplify 3/24 by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 3 to give 1/8. So 7/24 minus 1/6 equals 1/8. Subtract. Find 5/8 minus 1/56. Let's find an equivalent fraction of 5/8 that has a denominator of 56. Five-eighths equals 35/56. So 5/8 minus 1/56 equals 35/56 minus 1/56, which equals 34/56. Both the numerator and the denominator are even numbers, so we can simplify this fraction by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 2. 34/56 equals 17/28. So 5/8 minus 1/56 equals 17/28. An easy way to subtract these fractions is to use the cross multiplication method. First, multiply the denominators. 2 times 3 equals 6. Next, we multiply opposite pairs of numerators and denominators and subtract them. We start by multiplying the numerator of the left fraction by the denominator of the right fraction. 1 times 3 equals 3. Then we multiply the numerator of the right fraction by the denominator of the left fraction. 1 times 2 equals 2. 3 minus 2 equals 1. So 1/2 minus 1/3 equals 1/6. Let's subtract 2/3 from 4/5 mentally. Multiply the denominators. 5 times 3 equals 15. Now multiply opposite numerators and denominators. 4 times 3 equals 12, and 2 times 5 equals 10. 12 minus 10 equals 2. 2/15 is in the simplest form. So 4/5 minus 2/3 equals 2/15. Let's subtract 1/6 from 3/4 mentally. Multiply the denominators. 4 times 6 equals 24. Now multiply opposite numerators and denominators. 3 times 6 equals 18, and 1 times 4 equals 4. 18 minus 4 equals 14. 14/24 is not in its simplest form. Dividing the numerator and denominator by 2 gives us 7/12. So 3/4 minus 1/6 equals 7/12.